Hello, it looks like I am live broadcasting on YouTube, and I have an RSS feed set up so this will auto post and be syndicated across various platforms and podcasts, etc. So, if you can join me, please do. I did not announce this ahead of time. I'm doing this on the fly, so I'm not sure how much live action we are going to get. If this is your first time joining me with Nagging Thoughts, I'll give you a brief recap as I do every episode. I'm in New York City, so if you can hear the city outside, I apologize for the ambient noise. This is the best it's going to get. In any case, my name is Giselle Noel, and I've written a book called Nagging Thoughts from a Proverbs 27:16 woman. It's based on my experience with 18 years of marriage to someone with a secret sex life the entire duration of the marriage. And unfortunately, despite receiving roughly 2.5 years grand total of Christian marriage counseling from a couple of different sources, nobody was able to come close to exposing this dynamic within my marriage. I only started to learn about it after I announced my decision to divorce. So I wrote the book to analyze not only my experience in marriage, but really to analyze some of the best selling Christian marriage theology that is out there today that really helped to facilitate this deception for going on as long as it did. I have made my way through the bulk of all of the material in my book that relates to the Bible, because to me, that is really what counts and what is most important. So please do take a look at the content I have already uploaded and let me know what your thoughts are and your challenges, your questions, even if they're hater comments, whatever your thoughts are. Uh, this is an open forum, and I think the more that we discuss these matters as men and women, the better things. The better chance we have at things getting better. But this is my content is directed towards the Christian community. This does not apply to other arrangements and other types of understandings of marriage, but really to those that want to try to honor God, the God of the Bible, in their marriage. So, with that said, what I want to talk about today really has to do with manhood. Um, I've talked about the influence of the book Love and Respect and how toxic the concept of unconditional respect was in the context of my deceptive marriage. I also talked about the pro, how should I say this? The pro theatric message that I got from the complementarian camp, not only with the anecdotal story that was included in an otherwise great Christian marriage book called The Meaning of Marriage, but in other materials as well from Real Marriage. That was the title of that book, and a sermon in particular um, called Taking Out the Trash that was given by Mark Driscoll. That was all reinforced by our last round of marriage counseling that really honed in on this, encouraging women to really dramatize and act out things in order for husbands to be able to understand what it is that the woman is trying to say is an issue in a marriage, which I don't think is a very healthy thing. I think it's a pretty insulting thing for both men and women on both sides of that coin. But what I want to talk about today are actually one Christian book, one non-Christian book that really kind of had the exact same message. The non-Christian book is Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And the Christian book is Wild at Heart. Let me check what the title actually is. Ah, Wild at Heart, Discovering the Secret to a Man's Soul. And so let me start with the Men Are From Mars. This, I believe, is where we actually kind of originated this concept of, hey, Mike, good to see you. So the book Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, I believe that's where this concept of the man cave really originated. And that author believe that's, I apologize. It's been a while since I've looked that up. I think it's a John Gray, but anyway, it's a very famous book, very well noted and very popular. Um, he really is telling women to back off and give men space when there is a conflict and when things are difficult, that men need to retreat, which is all well and good. But the problem is that there's something else that also likes to retreat, and that is sin. Sin loves to hide, and it loves to go into its hole in its cave and go online and do whatever, and you have to respect the manhood. So this is why there's overlap and between a man's natural need to take a step back to process things, and the sin that is able to grow in the shadows. And this is kind of what helped facilitate the deception growing to just absurd levels in my marriage. Another companion to that really took it to the next level was this Christian book, Wild at Heart, which essentially is encouraging men to be warriors and, wild and dangerous, and it actively encourages men, grown men, to go out into the woods and do something just dangerous to get in touch with their manhood. That's a Tim Allen quote. Anyway, so because of the influence of all of this manosphere teaching, I actually actively supported my husband going to across the globe to a country well known for sex trafficking. And when I got pushed back from my friends and family, I said, "You don't understand. He's a Christian. He needs to go out there and do this for his manhood. He's doing this for our marriage." And he actually told me that. "I'm doing this to be a better husband." I fully supported him. And it's just so absurd because he was actually going out there to see the woman he'd been in an affair with for online for at least 10 years. So it was just absolutely ridiculous that I'm the one nurturing him, encouraging him to go see this woman that had captured his heart. And anyway, so that's really what I wanted to talk about, is that part of what the deception was in my marriage is that there is this overlap between, what men are saying that they need as men, that they need to be isolated, they need to be not challenged, they need to go into their caves and just be a man alone, and go across the globe and do reckless things, and that's going to somehow make them better husbands and better fathers. And it's a lie, and it really it ends up doing damage to the man, if you ask me, because now they're trying to live this fantasy manhood, and it's not fulfilling. And in my opinion, if you really want to feel like a man, you are going to shoulder responsibility, and you won't need the external validation of hookers and whores and whatever else it is that you're chasing, drugs and alcohol and career success or whatever it may be, to be celebrated and dangerous and reckless. I think if you do the boring things in life and you shoulder the responsibility in life, you're going to get the self-respect that you're chasing and all these other things. And I think those are the things that are going to make you really feel like a man. But this is, I'm not a man. So you can dismiss what I have to say, and I'm sure that the ones that have embraced machoism will definitely do that. But my intent in sharing my thoughts is that hopefully men won't have to live up to this caricature of what manhood is, and that they can be a fully orbed human being, and be vulnerable and communicate, and be present in their relationships and be committed and faithful. And hopefully that will be reciprocated. I know it's not always the case, but that's my hope. And that's so anyway, I was hoping that maybe some other people might join in and tell me what their thoughts are. um, one thing I kind of want to dovetail on this topic of how this man cave, reckless, escapism thing that is tied to this notion of manhood through books like Wild at Heart and Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Um, is that one of the differences in my opinion that you can tell that somebody needs to have their space to process their feelings versus somebody hiding and indulging in sin. One of the biggest red flags that you can have is if there is unprovoked hostility, and if there is absolute redirecting anytime there's an issue. If you approach somebody and say, I have an issue with X, Y, or Z, not X, Y, and Z, but I have an issue with X that you're doing. And then they hit you with the whole alphabet and say, oh, really? Because you've got A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z, and then some. So silence. So if they redirect to you, if they tell you this message, they give you this idea that basically you are not able to criticize or challenge or hold anyone accountable until you're perfect yourself, then I would say that's an absolute major red flag that they are not doing their part to be a better human being, but are indulging and hiding in sin. So I hope that's helpful to you. And I think what I'm going to do, since I've made my way through all of my major points in my book, I am going to start going through some other YouTube videos by other people, other teachers, other Christian preachers that address the issue of marriage, and just share my feedback with you and let you know what I think they got right, and that accurately honors God in marriage, and where I think that they're actually being self-serving with humanity. And I look forward to hearing, what you guys think, and I hope we can interact. All right, that's it for this time. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I look forward to talking with you next nagging thought. All right, let me see if I can figure out how to end this thing now. Okay.